Hello and welcome back. We are now into lower bracket slash losers bracket slash the bracket of alternative winners, as Lights Out Ace likes to call it. We are back with Sir Rhino versus Sunnyvale. We'll be watching this first, and then we will be going into the other losers bracket match, which is Moosh versus Tobo immediately after.
Yeah, I'm actually super excited for this.
Indeed.
Because I finally get to talk about Xenon Control, which I haven't had the chance to talk about. You guys have been looking at it all Saturday and last weekend, but this is my first chance, and this is a deck that I've really loved because it's an evolution of Bruce by God's big Xenon Ramp deck, which is a deck that is very near and dear to my heart. I've been playing it for a while, and I think this is a really interesting take on it and an evolution from it. You don't have the Carnosaurs, but you trade that for, and you don't have the ramp, but you trade that for better answers to aggro, which I think it is going to pay off here against this Stone Scar deck that we just saw Sunnyvale bring out. So I actually think that this is slightly better for Xenon than it was for Praxis, and Praxis was able to take it. So I wouldn't be too surprised if Sir Rhino comes away with the victory here.
Okay. Yeah, we've seen Xenon Control every once in a while. Even in set 1, we saw it. Zooch and Waspas were kind of the initial innovators of that, but then it was kind of shelved. It's all some good but not great results. But yeah, with set 2, with Banish, with Champion of Mystery, with Ion giving it a lot more tools, it is definitely resurged. And the deck I've played a lot of as well.
Yeah, I mean the Xenon Control from the past and what Sir Rhino is playing here right now are almost entirely different decks. Like I said, this is more based off that ramp deck. But this is actually a pretty good start from Sunnyvale. No 1-drops is not good, but having these two drops and the torch to back it up to get rid of this Ion, actually really, really good, especially Instigator getting in that 1 damage here.
If Sunny didn't have that torch, he really probably couldn't have swung into 3 open power. As is the Ion is just effectively a fog. But if he didn't have it, he couldn't swing in. The risk of his 2/2 dying and Rhino healing 3 was too great.
This is big. This is big right here. Rhino is going to decide to either leave up Death Strike or play this Varus Choice, right? If he plays his Varus Choice on hand, that's actually the right play, but he doesn't know that. So it's going to, if he holds onto this Death Strike, this Bandit Queen gets to come down and get his value out. And Death Strike, sure, it'll kill probably Instigator or maybe the Bandit Queen if Sir Rhino wants to play to Annihilate. But yes, that's what's going to happen. And this Bandit Queen is going to get value. Varus Choice is really awkward to use in these against aggro decks here.
Right. It really is best when you can hit a queen out of hand or hit a charge unit out of hand, Soulfire Drake, especially. But yeah, Sunny is gonna get in 7 damage or force a chump block. Yep, gets in 7 damage. Unfortunately for Rhino, sorry, go ahead.
I think he's still okay here. I think you were gonna say something similar. He has this.
The Waystone Infuser is
to come down.
Definitely a good butt for Sir Rhino to put down in front of Sunny's units. He even gets to play one off the top instead of playing the one he had in hand.
Yeah, and with Sunnyvale having this Magma Hound, doesn't really line up very well with Sir Rhino's deck. Sir Rhino's deck is just very unit heavy. And also just has a couple sweepers and Varus favors and things like that.
Right.
So Magma Hound kind of doesn't do anything. What he really wants is like Soulfire Drakes and things like that, which aren't really in the deck. So now he's really looking for more Bandit Queens, Obliterates, Assembly Lines. Those are really the big cards because he needs to go wide to get past these big hips here on the other side of the board.
Looking at Sunny's deck, his pre-board configuration, not the most favored into this exact situation on board. I think his real best draws here are actually his 2 of Cinder Yeti, which would let him, block or get around the blocker of the 2/6. But we don't see any of those Cinder Yetis around. And yeah, at this point, he's really hoping that, yes, exactly, that he gets this block. He's kind of bluffing Rapid Shot here, I think.
What he really wanted was Cinder Yeti into Suffocate. That would have been the optimal draws.
Yeah, there you go. But yeah, unfortunately, he had to 2-for-1 himself to get past that first 2-6, and now there's another 2. Oh, but the Annihilate's actually a very good draw here.
Yeah, Annihilate's going to do it, and that's going to get him in probably 5 damage. I don't know if Rhino wants to chump at this point. And now Varus Choice is probably just going to bounce maybe this Outlaw.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, it's very good for Rhino that he didn't chump, because I think that Magma Hound is, at this point, is destined to be eaten by a 1/1.
Yeah,
Rhino doesn't know that, of course.
Yeah, he doesn't know, but yeah.
Oh, wow. Again, Sunnyvale's list, while it is running Obliterates, because it's not quite the same list as the list used to be in terms of running Flame Blast. So the Obliterates really are only 4 ofs in the deck. So he's a little bit happier with his life total going low. He also has a bit more healing than decks used to.
Yeah.
So yeah, I think not chumping there was the right decision.
So a couple interesting things happen here. Rhino, I saw him going back and forth on his screen. I don't think stream can see that. Yeah, so he was considering Varus choicing the hand, thinking, oh, maybe he read that Magma Hound was the last card in hand. Mm-hmm. But he ends up pushing that Oni running back, and then also drawing the Sandstorm Titan right after the Obliterate comes down, or the Annihilate comes down, was pretty useful. But then Sunnyvale just top decks that Obliterate right away.
Yep.
And then here comes a Mystic Center after both of those get used. So this could really quickly turn around. But remember, Rhino is at 9. That is a huge Pyro Knight. Something like a
that Pyro Knight has come here pre-ulted.
Yeah, I know. This is actually what 11-10, right? So with a rapid shot, that would be very threatening with that Overwhelm.
All right, that Temple Scrub is actually a very good draw.
Oh,
wow. Yep. Okay. Sunny had a very, very threatening board, and the Temple Scribe into Varus Choice was the top of Rhino's deck was really good to him.
Yeah. Rhino now going to have an opportunity to assemble the Stampede on the other side of the board.
Yeah, just the Temple Scrub was a good draw for Rhino, but I think that would have almost been enough to survive. But the Varus Choice has put him into this spot where now he's in the driver's seat. He's got huge blockers. He's rapidly refilling his hand. Unfortunately, it's a little power heavy, but he is still drawing into enough gas because he's drawing 3 cards per turn. I really think Sunny needs, either Obliterate into... Interesting. Okay. Okay.
Yeah, this is a kind of a tough turn. I haven't gone through the block in my head.
I really think Rhino has to know that he has to keep himself out of Obliterate range, but actually doing that might be a little difficult because of these Temple Scribes. But I
triggers and stuff.
Yeah, he'll take 4 damage here. I think that was maybe a little hasty.
I think it was fine. He still kept.
I think that was. I mean, now Sunny is just dead. He was basically hoping Rhino misplayed, and I don't know if that was right. I think. Holding back was the right line because he had at least the out of Obliterate into Obliterate.
Yeah. From Sunnyvale's perspective, yeah, I agree that was a little bit hasty there. But
okay.
I mean, sometimes you gotta. I mean, maybe not against Rhino, maybe not at this level, but sometimes you gotta just push the chance you have.
Yeah, sometimes you have to. Sometimes you think the odds that your opponent makes a mistake are greater than drawing the 3 of 60-ish in his deck, the 1 in 20. So Sunny was really weighing his odds of, okay, do I think there is a greater than 5% chance that Rhino makes a small mistake here?
Yeah.
I don't know. I don't think you can really go for that
Sunnyvale's
line
hand
at this stage.
in this second game here looks pretty good. He's got another nice setup here with the 2 drops and 3 drops, and then this time he's got 2 rapid shots to back it up. So he doesn't care what comes down to block these guys, and he's not as vulnerable to stuff like Vera's favor and things like that. But big difference here. Rhino has a banish and critically a stray into shadow, which is going to be huge if we get there.
Yeah, unfortunately for Rhino, he is on the draw in terms of deploying that stray into shadow. The difference between a stray or a harsh rule on the play versus on the draw can often be like a 7 or 8 damage difference, depending on how well you can block before that. So it might give Sunny the opportunity to obliterate his way to a finish. But this is definitely not a good hand if you're in the Sunnyvale camp in terms of what Rhino has packing.
Yeah, well, that suffocate is a really good draw. So
yes,
man, Rhino is just going to be really on like a tightrope here, trying to not lose too much health before this stray comes down, because Sunnyvale can do
interesting.
So
he goes
much
for the scribe. So I think I understand Rhino's logic here. He wants the extra draw step to
get that 5th power.
Yeah. Oh, he has the 5th power in hand anyway because of the Vara's favor. Of course. So he has to play the Vara's favor to play the stray next turn. Anyway, so of course he should play the Temple Scribe. Right. Sorry about that. So Sunnyvale's saving grace here is that he has racked up a lot of work rise. If we see that land on a charge unit or a unit with overwhelm, it might be impossible for Rhino to profitably block it.
So this is what I was thinking about. Oh my goodness. Okay. Well, I'm really glad Sunnyvale didn't play that Bandit Queen right there, because he knows he's playing against Stray into Shadow and removal and things like that. So he's gonna just take his tempo suffocate and just make Rhino play Stray. Right, that's what he's doing right here. And then if Rhino does, he takes 9 damage. Then he's got 2 rapid shots worth of damage to get in there if there's not like an instant or something.
Rhino doesn't want to pull the trigger. Okay.
So Sunnyvale has 2 options. He can go for the line where he's just like, I'm gonna just play this Bandit Queen and just deal 9 damage right now. Maybe he'll chump, but that's just gonna be there, and he probably won't have a Death Strike. Or he can just play the Instigator and try and get like 1 rapid shot, and then have the Bandit Queen for a post board wipe or whatever.
I really think any of Sunny's options here were viable. Double rapid shotting the Champion of Mystery, playing the Bandit Queen to get Rhino into torch range, or going, rapid shot face with the 1/2/2 that gets through plus Instigator. Although I think I like Sunnyvale's line the most in that he now has 8 outs to just kill Rhino on the spot.
Yeah.
And Rhino really has to be defensive here.
I think Sunnyvale missed an opportunity earlier to just have played a rapid shot on maybe those 2 outlaws just for 4 damage, because that would have been the game by now. But I think it'll still work out in his favor here.
Oh, yeah. Interesting. Okay. I don't know how much I like this line. If he didn't play the Instigator first, he could have double rapid shot, but I think he just wants the 1 damage ping.
Yeah, I think that's actually the better
It does let him deploy the Recano Outlaw. He doesn't.
So I think because it's Stray, not harsh rule, right? Like,
Oh, okay. Yep. Yeah, and Sunny not playing the Recano Outlaw kind of gives Rhino the knowledge that he can swing safely.
Oh my God. Okay.
All right. When you're hot, you're hot. Boop.
And Rhino has actually exploded, so that's pretty hot.
The 4/2 charge Bandit Queen, not quite her final form, but it's good enough.
Yeah, good enough. I mean, sure, it wasn't 8/7, but it'll get the job.
Well, it also didn't, rally his board or anything like that. But yeah. Once again, I imagine these players both have their sideboard plans pretty in place. So I can't imagine we'll be taking too long between the matches. So you talked about Xena Control being one of your favorite decks earlier. What do you think Rhino brings in for this match?
So I'm slightly less familiar with Rhino's sideboard here, but I think the Theurges are really good options. I think the Carnosaurs are actually good options over something like Mystery or Ascendant. And I think he's going to probably bring those in, or maybe just cut.
I can agree with that. Entirely. Although I think he may just want to lower his curve as much as he can and just get rid of anything that costs too much. Although then the problem is you might not have the power to end a game quickly.
Right.
So when you're playing
cards, when you're playing cards like Waystone Infusers that don't end the game, just help you get to your late game, you do need to have some late game, right? Because you're not going to win with Waystone Infuser.
2/6 beats not quite good enough against the deck with Obliterate.
But they're in there now, and we see a turn 1 Pyronite from Sunnyvale on the play there, followed by an Instigator. So this is a pretty fast start.
He doesn't have a 3-drop, and he won't be able to play one if he draws one, but still getting out a 1-drop into 2-drop is pretty good.
Yeah, and Rhino has the anti-aggro dream, right? Double Temple Scribe, Ion, and Theurge. Like, holy cow, that's so much life gain, so many chump blockers. That's going to be really rough. And Sunnyvale does not have a Rapid Shot or a Suffocate. He's just got Annihilate and Obliterate, which are the two removal spells that don't line up.
Sunny will get in a really good hit with this Bandit Queen. Rhino wanted to flash in the Ion to block, and he still may, but it's going to be a chump block if he does. So he's very likely to instead, banish.
Yeah, it might just being on the play is going to help a lot here. It's going to get in a lot of damage just being able to get if Sunny Rhino can't do anything.
If Sunny was on the draw versus this hand, I think he would have a 0-ish% chance. His hopes would just be that Rhino's hand fell apart in some other way. Oh, that Senior Yeti is going to let him get in some damage as well, though. If he doesn't want to annihilate... of course, he'll do both. He has 5 power.
Okay. Well, I think it's actually interesting because he could have... I guess that's fine, yeah.
Right. Now Rhino is...
Sabotage.
Yep, Sabo.
That's an interesting choice. I don't know if I bring that in against. Okay.
Sabo off the top.
Argument.
Well,
Go ahead.
I agree with you on that. It definitely turned out very well right here. The Sabo off the top taking out the Obliterate, which would have been lethal next turn.
Yeah. Yeah, this Ion's going to just have to trade here. But that's still fine. Rhino stays at 13. And then he has another Temple Scribe. He's got 2 good defensive units in Steward and Titan.
Rhino is
after.
He's still at 13. He has he has some good blockers, but this is going to be a little difficult.
Yeah, it's a little too wide, I think, at this point. And with this assembly line, that just means that even if Rhino has good blocks, he's going to be taking 4 or 5 damage every turn, no matter what he does.
Yeah. I think an A-space out of Sunny was defensible there in that he would have gotten in a decent amount of chip damage and could have continued to go wide.
Right? No, he would have gotten in 4.
No, he would have gotten in 5. Assuming a block on
you're correct.
Pyro Knight. Actually, no, he would have gotten in more because of Overwhelm.
Yeah.
But he is liking his odds more if he gets in even more chip damage by going wider previously.
I don't hate bringing in Countess. It's a bit slow, but you can afford to be a bit slow sometimes. And that's going to allow him to attack into this Titan next
Interesting.
turn.
Sunny passed here. And now Rhino is considering if he wants to annihilate, which he does.
Yeah, and I think passing is fine when you have the counter.
Oh, of course he's not attacking. He's worried about a follow-up Ion, which will kill a Grenadin and gain Rhino 3 health, kind of removing any advantage Sunny would have gotten from swinging. That, of course,
that's why it's always difficult to A-space against the Xenon deck versus the Praxis deck. It's just got much better options like Banish and Ion.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, unlike the last match, Sunny could basically A-space with the knowledge that, except for torches, what you saw is what you get.
So being able to play this Infuser before the Countess could do stuff is going to make this Countess a lot worse, because now it's just going to take the Infuser out. That's really all it's going to do. And this Titan's going to live to fight another day. That's still important, But okay, so he plays the Power Knight. I was wondering if he maybe planned to save it till like he was at 7 or something like that, just to keep it out of removal. But that's not the case. He just wants to kill Rhino and is hoping to not draw 7 power. But there's 6.
Yep.
And so Power Knight gets activated.
Yeah, that was
and
both
he's
the
gonna be able
6th
to
power
play...
for Power Knight and the last influence for the Champion of Chaos in Sunny's hand.
Yeah. Yeah, that's big. That Champion of Chaos is really important. It probably only trades with the Steward, but having a Steward, having a Power Knight and a Champion of Chaos to line up with Sir Rhino's 2 defensive units is a big deal because it might encourage him to start attacking or ace spacing soon, attacking with these other units. Okay, there's the ace space.
Sunny is over the worry of Ion punishing him for this, which I think, obviously we can see Rhino's hand. We know he doesn't have the Ion. But I think the worry is if Rhino has an Ion, Sunny probably
he's going to
can't
lose
win
anyway.
Yeah.
Yeah, exactly.
So he's trying to get in the chip damage wherever he can here. That cleared off a lot of both of their boards. Rhino takes 5 damage. But now Rhino doesn't have many blockers. Oh, but the Devoted Theurge off the top.
Yeah. That is a great block. But Sunnyvale's not out of it, right? This Champion of Chaos is a big deal. And that's Suffocate.
Oh.
Holy cow. Okay. So this comes down to if Rhino draws something really relevant here or if Sunnyvale draws something relevant because speaking of relevant. All right, Varus Choice is going to take that.
Both of them running hot
Overwhelm.
Here.
Yeah, that Overwhelm trample.
We are now in Rhino's deck's wheelhouse. Sunny's deck. No, I think that was right. I think that was right. It does open him up to Soulfire Drakes, but Rhino is happy to tick up his Theurge and heal, play whatever he can find off the top of his deck. So I still think that was right to take that block.
Well, I don't know. It's
to
kind
take
of
that attack,
tough.
and I think it was right for Sunny to take that block. I think both players played right there.
I'm conflicted on it because if it wasn't for Theurge being able to gain 1 life every turn, I'd be like, okay, well, at least he's in double obliterate range. But you didn't really have that out. But this Annihilate, questionable that Sunnyvale waited. Rhino could have just activated it before attacking, and Sunnyvale wouldn't have been able to Annihilate before Rhino gained a life there. But it worked out.
Yeah. Oh, the Fire Sigil off the top for Sunny into Ion for Rhino is probably putting the nail in the coffin.
Yeah, that's game. That's game. Yep. So I wanted to touch on the Sabotage from Sir Rhino. So the thing about having Sabotage is that it is a turn 1 play against a very aggressive deck, right? When you're typically don't have a lot of turn 1 plays. That's the argument for Sabotage. Obviously, the argument against Sabotage is a lot of the time it's not going to hit anything, right? If their hand is Oni Ronin, Rakano Outlaw, Bandit Queen Power, like you're not hitting anything. Sabotage just isn't a card. And anytime in the late game, it doesn't do anything. But that's, I think, slightly less of a concern against an aggressive deck. Yeah. So it's just it's a risk reward kind of thing. If you can play it on turn 1, if you like, for example, if you were gonna know you were gonna be on the play versus on the draw, then I think it would be really valuable. But we don't have that in Eternal, so it's just it's hard to say. But man, this is a spicy hand from Sunnyvale. He's been getting pretty good openers consistently. I know.
Wow, yeah, that hand is.
When I try to play,
it'd be rough for Rhino to deal with.
I would have all my Bandit Queens and all my Fire Influence and none of my one drops.
Rhino without a play until a banish on turn 3. If he picks up a Stray into Shadow in the next few draw steps, I think he has a very good chance. Just really kind of reliant on that.
Yeah, so Theurge is a good spell. Like if you could have one spell, it'd probably be like Theurge Ryan. But it's going to be a little too late here, I think, with Sunnyvale being able to deploy every single threat in his hand Fortunately for Rhino, this is not a suffocate; it's an annihilate, or it's not an annihilate; it's a suffocate. But yeah, drawing an ion is going to be a big deal. Sunnyvale
Yeah,
didn't attack though, which is pretty interesting.
Yeah, he was too scared of the ion. But the ion draw definitely better than just kind of banishing even an instigator. But now Sunny has to make the choice if he wants to throw away an instigator to get in 6 damage, and he does not. I think he will take that line next turn to activate the Groundbreaker. Yep.
Yeah. I think he's got to. I mean, this Groundbreaker is going to be huge. I'm not a big fan of Groundbreaker. I think in most matchups it's pretty bad. But in this matchup against
Sunny's a big
Ion,
fan of it.
Theurge, and all that stuff, it's pretty good. And then now that he has it active, it's just an 8/7. That's pretty rough. But it gets banished.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, the banish that Rhino didn't have to use because he drew the Ion saves him from the, effectively 8/7 swinging in. Although this Pyro Knight picking up some Warcries, once it ultimates, it will be an 8/7 as well.
Yeah, able to actually trade with the Champion Mystery, which is pretty important because typically, obviously, it's only a 6/5, doesn't trade with that Champion Mystery. So Serrano pretty healthy at 24 life, but here comes this Soulfire Drake, and then we have to remember Sunnyvale just has a huge board here. So if at any point Rhino gets a little risky, makes an attack he doesn't need to, or I don't expect that from him, but maybe a Bandit Queen comes down. We're seeing a lot of damage coming out of Sunnyvale, but that Vara's choice is huge,
off
and
the top
another Theurge
into another
comes
Theurge. Yep. If not for that Vara's choice off the top, I think Sunny would have been in a really great position.
Yeah.
He would have been heavily favored. Rhino did not have a response to the Soulfire Drake. The Entomb is very hard for Sir Rhino to stuff, although now he draws a Steward of the Past off the top. And so it seems like he had the Soulfire Drake answered. Yep. Banish takes care of the big threat.
I think that might seal Sunnyvale's fate. I mean, sure, Rhino can still lose this game, but there's enough 4/4s on the field now that Sunnyvale loses so much if he tries to get in any damage, and Rhino's at a healthy enough point where he can, where it's not going to be a significant amount of damage, where he's not going to put him into range of anything in particular.
Yeah, the 3 devoted Theurges have really come in huge for Rhino here, gaining him 12 health. If those were just blank 4/4s, if those were just spiked Arachnodons, Rhino would be at 11, which is, he can wait to draw a double Obliterate or Obliterate plus Soulfire Drake for a very long time. He has infinite chump blockers effectively, but these devoted Theurges have made it so Rhino doesn't have to fear for burn.
Yeah, and here's another advantage to the Xenon deck over the Praxis deck is Serrano just cut out all his Mystic Ascendants and then left in his Champions of Mystery because he doesn't care about Obliterate with those. And that's not that it would have mattered that much, but even if these were Mystic Ascendants, I think Rhino would have been pretty okay. Sunnyvale packs it up. There's no way he's getting through that and all of Rhino's health.
Yeah, well, we see an early exit from Sunnyvale. The Neon and I earlier predicted him to actually be in the grand finals, but I think maybe slightly unlucky, upset earlier versus Toth. Had put Sunny against a matchup that he was not favored for.
Yeah, I think Sunny. Sorry. So in Sunny's, I was watching Serrano's stream, and they were talking to each other and talking about making mistakes and things like that. And so both players, I think, saw they could have played better in a couple places. But overall, I think the Stone Scar deck, while powerful, is not always the most consistent, especially in this meta that is so full of mid range. There's just a lot of decks out there where if you stumble at all on aggro, you just don't have any chance to come back. And so I think this meta is pretty hostile to Stone Scar. So I'm honestly pretty impressed that Sunnyvale even brought it this far. And I think he actually put up a great performance and did really well.
I
and we
think
saw how good of a player he is.
Yes, of course. I think this meta was not quite as good for aggro as maybe some players would have hoped. But I think this was still a very good choice for this tournament. It's always sad to see players leave. They have to leave. I've said this like 10 times over the past month, really. I'm rooting for both of these players. They're both great players. They're both great people. They're both great streamers. But yeah, we have to see Sunnyvale head home. He still takes home $100. He still takes home the pride of making it to the top 8. And hopefully we get to see him in later invitationals and later ETS events if his weekends clear up.
Yep, yeah. He's not a face that we've gotten to see around as much as we would have liked. But yeah, I'm excited for the next match coming up, Moosh and Tobu.
Moosh versus Tobu is our next lower bracket match. And after that lower bracket match, we'll be heading into winners bracket round 2 before we head back to elimination matches. And with that, I will actually be stepping out of the booth. Like I said earlier, unfortunately, Beardris fell ill this morning, so I stepped in for his place. aReNGee will be casting for the rest of this match. I will be holding things down on the back end, making graphics, setting things up, and I will catch you all later. Enjoy the rest of the tournament, Gabe, and have fun casting with aReNGee.
Oh, I will. more than I did with you. Jeez.
Oh, he cut me deep. All right, we'll be back in just a couple minutes with our next match.